my good buddy Andy, and you're listening to the Packers Blitz podcast, the podcast done by two diehard Packer fans who survived the dark times of the 1980s Packers football and live to talk about it. And Packers Blitz, we dedicate it always to the world's greatest fans, Packer fans. So I'm gonna start a little serious here. Before I get to that, Andy, how are you? How's everything going, buddy?
Really, really well. Really well, really well. Really. Saying too many really.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, really good.
been watching some of the Badger games the last few days. Typically I'm not able to do that.
Nice.
But I was able to borrow the Wittunes
There you go.
account and share that because my son is engaged to their daughter. So I
Hey,
didn't realize I could for a few hours, and I was like, "Wait a
there you
minute,
go.
where's it on? What's it on?" It was like the Big Ten
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
network, and I was able to watch it. So and they played
Excellent.
really,
Yeah,
really well. They almost won
yeah,
the
yeah.
championship.
Big Ten
So
championship.
yeah,
Yeah, that is awesome. So we're gonna get a little serious here, folks, just for a little bit before we get into Packer news and get back to the fun. Um, this episode tonight, Packers Blitz, is dedicated to my dear and close friend, Pete, who passed away this week. He was a good friend, and he was a huge Packer fan. And we lost a good guy, and it's always hard to do that, to lose a good friend. He was only in his 50s. So if I'm doing a little message for you guys out there in your 40s and 50s listening to this, I would say go to the doctor, get checked out, make sure everything's in the right place and working properly. Don't be stubborn about it, because you want to be around to watch the Packers win another Super Bowl, and you can't do that if you're in the grave. So, one thing I loved about Pete was we were college roommates, so we would play pranks on people. Andy, my good friend, went to college with us too at Platteville, but he didn't see the pranks. Sometimes we played. He and he sometimes would be around actually learning something. Duh. And so so Pete and I would play some pranks on each other, and we'd have fun. And being in a dorm room, as you know, it's really hard. You kind of get sick of one another after a while being stuck in there. But we never did. We always got along. We just loved to play pranks, like I said, on one another and other people. He was a really good guy. And then after he graduated, he went off and did some other things, worked for an engineering company, uh, and he worked off the Gulf Coast of Mexico on this oil rig, which I always was just unbelievable that he could have done that. It was one of those things. It's when you're on an oil rig, Andy. I don't know if you know this, but you may spend an entire month on that oil rig and you cannot leave. So that's like crazy, right? I
yeah.
don't know. I couldn't have done that. But anyway, then he moved back, and he one day, we were like, "Hey, man, we should like open our own business together." I always wanted to do that. I always wanted to have my own business. So, believe it or not, we bought a video store, two video stores, and one in Madison, one in Fitchburg, Wisconsin.
That must have been a long
And we
time
were
ago, John.
Yeah, yeah, I know, I'm dating myself here.
You are.
I'm dating myself even more here. We were one of the first to carry DVDs, okay, when people still had videotapes, and you remember you
Yeah,
put your
VHS
videotape in.
tapes. Yep.
Yeah, you put that stupid thing in, and, half the time it didn't work or something went wrong and you broke the tape, something didn't work, and when DVDs came out, you have to remember, folks, this was like unbelievable. You could watch a DVD for the most part, this crystal clear quality. You could set up a system and have movie theater sound and a movie theater picture, and it was a game changer. And we carried that. And I was proud to say we were the first in Madison to do that. In fact, I have an article that sits on my desk here in my office of Pete and I in the Wisconsin State Journal where they did an article about us. Because at that time, everybody was like, DVDs are a fad. They're never going to last. They'll be gone in a couple years and VHS. And as you know, there still are DVDs out there. You go to Walmart, Target, you can still buy a DVD if you really want to, or go on Amazon or whatever. So anyway, we were in business for a little over 5 years. We actually bought a house together because we were like, "Yeah, man, we're not going to live in some stupid apartment," and that kind of sucked. So we went up, bought a house together. We actually took trips together. And we were just like best buds, and we were having so much fun. And then I met Debbie, and fell in love with her. We got married, and that's had I had kids and family, and he just wasn't wired that way, which is fine. He had a great life. He had a lot of good, strong relationships, and he was a really good guy. But like I said, most importantly, he was a huge Packer fan, and, he wasn't like Andy and I where we're invested. We're just like, come on," flipping out and own stock and all that stuff. Um, he was more like a good fan should be, like, "I support my team, win or lose, I love the Packers, and, whatever happens, happens." He was a big Jordan Love fan before he passed. We actually talked about that, and he told me he thinks Jordan Love could win a Super Bowl. And I'm like, I don't know about that." And then now Andy and I are both like, maybe he can, kind of changes your mind. But I'll miss him. I love the guy. I went to high school with him. I went to college. I just, like I said, sometimes I get a little choked up because I can't call him anymore and I can't talk to him. I can't talk Packers. And that's why I love the brotherhood of not only my good friend Andy that I get to do this with, and not only he's a good friend, but he's a good Packer fan. And I think that is really missed in today's world is just being a good fan, win or lose. You're there for them, and you're to support them, but you can say things that maybe things aren't going so well or changes. Sure, there's nothing wrong with that, but please don't be a Bears fan or a Vikings fan. Lions fan, I'm on the fence about you guys. You guys are getting a little mouthy recently. I forgot to tell you, Andy, I bumped into this Lions fan at the airport in LA, which is a weird thing to bump into a Lions fan
Yeah.
in LA. And he was like, "Yeah, man, we're finally doing something." And I'm like, "Well, I'm a Packers fan." And he goes, "Oh," he goes, "You guys are so lucky. You don't believe how lucky you are." He goes, "This is the first quarterback we've had since Gary Danielson who's, like, done something, or Scott Mitchell." And I'm like, "Really? Gary Danielson and Scott Mitchell, that's all you got?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's all we have, man. And then we got Jared Goff." And I'm like, Jared Goff isn't that great, right?"
Yeah,
It's
is he
like,
forgetting
"No,
Matthew
he's
Stafford?
you
Matthew S
forgot well, yeah, you
Yeah,
forgot Matthew Stafford.
yeah, exactly. He was just with them. I can't
Yeah,
remember the last time in
I think
1970. No, Matthew Stafford. You
I
traded
think
him
people
away, and he won a Super Bowl
I
with
think
the
that's
Rams,
why. I
and
think
you
that's
forgot
why.
about that? It's
I
because
think
they could
Lions
never
fan
get him, the talent that he
to
needed around
yeah,
him, and then their defenses always
well,
stunk.
I always tell them. I said, "You had Megatron and Barry Sanders,
Yes.
and you couldn't do anything with them?" I
Yeah.
mean, he goes, "Yeah, because we didn't have anybody." I said, "No, you had Stafford at one time, and we kinda." But he was like, I think they're like it's like, I don't know, like, bitterness that Stafford went to LA and won a Super Bowl when,
He's blocked it
he was
totally out of
like
his mind. It's like he went uh, to
yeah,
somebody to forget about it, right?
I guess so.
Yeah,
I
got
mean,
some
it's
professional
weird.
help, you know?
But
That's
yeah,
when you
but
have the
I don't know.
little, the clock with the little, chain on it, and you're going back and forth in front of them, and, and, put them under basically, and then,
Effort.
right. Uh, yeah, so before we move forward, I did wanna mention a few things about Pete. I did not realize he was a Packers fan,
Yeah.
so that's great to hear. Uh, I would say that the one thing I remember from you guys being on the same floor as I was in McGregor Hall, at Platteville, that he had a very good sense of humor. And
Yes.
sometimes he would just give you a look or have like a maniacal type smile, uh,
Mhm.
kind of like he was getting into trouble. It's kind of that
Right.
wildness that was in him, right? And so he
Right.
looked really reserved, but sometimes you could tell the wheels were turning. That makes perfect sense that you're playing pranks on people, but
Yeah.
so yeah, that's what I remember about Pete. So and he seemed like
Yeah.
he was a really good friend. So,
Yes. Yeah,
it's
he
got to
was
be tough. We're all about the same age, right? We all
yeah,
graduated the same year. Uh and it's just tough when you have somebody our age and you're
yeah,
talking about death. It makes you think of your own mortality. So, but
yeah, yeah. Absolutely. So, rest in peace, Pete. You're in Packer heaven now, playing with Lombardi and all the Packer greats up there, and you can just hang out and see what Vince Lombardi's up to. I don't know what he's doing, but he's probably having a little fun. And now Bart Starr and his wife are up there, so you
Cherry.
guys can hang out, talk to Bart. Yes,
Yep.
and talk to her and
Maybe you can both haunt Lambeau Field. You and Lombardi,
well,
right?
Reggie, and then you can go to Reggie White.
Reggie White.
Hey,
Yeah.
Reggie White.
Yeah.
That's true. Okay, so thank you, Andy, for letting me talk about that and dedicating this show to Pete. Um, yeah, we'll miss him. So let's get on. Like Pete would say, guys, hey, I want to hear about some free agency, guys. Like the Packers actually did
Right.
something. So
Yeah.
Packers moves. Hey, a lot has happened in the past week, folks. And when does that happen, Andy? When's the last time the first day of free agency? What? Wait, we did something?
Yes. Yeah, even before the first day of, free agency, we
Before,
kinda
oh
knew
yeah,
things were gonna be happening, but yeah, there's a lot
yeah,
of
yeah.
things, a lot of tampering, it sounded like a few days earlier on that Monday, and then, I think free agency started on what la last
Right.
Wednesday, so but yeah, there's been a lot going on, a
Yeah,
lot of trades, a
absolutely.
lot of, free agent moves, so
Yeah.
we're gonna
So
kinda
let's
yeah, we're kinda gonna
yeah,
alternate tonight, just,
yeah,
letting, our fans know this, so we're gonna kinda bounce back and forth. We got several things, and all were important, that's why but there's like 12 of them, so we're gonna alternate.
yeah, we're so we don't run out of gas.
Exactly.
So the first one, very exciting. After signing Josh Jacobs, the Packers may not have to draft another running back. And, oh, by the way, Andy and I will have our draft show coming up. Oh, maybe 2 3 weeks. We're gonna decide when we want to do that because it takes a lot of time. Andy's very thorough. He does a great job with getting all everyone together, and it takes a lot of us kind of figure out how we want to run the show. But they probably will. So that's something we'll put in our draft show that will be coming out in April. However, they might not be forced to since Jacobs' rookie year in 2019, he ranks second among NFL running backs in carries. A little over 1,300, so 1,305. Rushing yards, over 5,000 yards, 5,545. Rushing TDs, which is surprising, 46, because the Raiders' offensive line sucks. I mean, they're a horrible offensive line. Jacobs also ranks third in total yards from scrimmage, 6,993. He is a multifaceted threat. He has proven that he can play in a multitude of offensive systems. Thus, Jacobs should be productive in the spread offense like Matt LaFleur's, where he runs play action in the same formation as running plays. Plus, according to a report by NFL insider Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk. Jacobs' contract has this is what I love, has no guaranteed money past the first year. I love that. That is genius, and has 3 single option years after that. In essence, the Packers have a lot of flexibility and multiple potential exits of his contract, which God, I couldn't believe that when they said that because usually the Packers, we have like this freaking weight around us and do this ton of dead cap money that we can't get out of, which we're slowly getting out of. One thing I want to add about Josh Jacobs, I was listening to his interview, and the guy sounds hopefully uh like he's gonna fit, but you never know. We'll see once the football get the pads on. So he said 2 things I like. 1, he came here because of Jordan Love. He was, the Raiders and the Packers played this year, last year. Um, and if you remember that game, it was a stupid game. I think we lost Andy. I can't remember the final score. It was like 17-13 or something. It was a horrible game. It
Yeah.
was just like no offense. It was bad. And Josh Jacobs, we stopped him, and that part of the reason he's been hurt, and he has no offensive line in the Raiders for crying out loud. But he said one of the reasons he came was because of Jordan Love, and he said even though Jordan Love did not have a great game, he was looking at some other tape, and he's like, "Wow, he's making throws a lot of quarterbacks are not making." And he says, he has a tremendous upside. The second thing he said was about Aaron Jones. He said, "Well, I'm not here to replace him. I'm here because Aaron Jones set a standard, and I'm going to maintain that standard when I come here and do my best to make sure that there's no drop off. I'm going to come in and make sure that I get things done." So I love that. And I would say, but one other thing too, he said was he seems, rejuvenated. He just seems like, "Oh, man, I can't wait to, like, give me the ball now." Like, and that's good for a running back like him because in 2022, if you go back to his year and check his stats, they were off the charts. I mean, he was killing it. If we can get that Josh Jacobs, look out. I mean, that's gonna be an impressive offense. Wait and see on it. But I do like the signing. Um, and we'll talk about Aaron Jones a little bit probably later. Uh, I hate to lose the guy, but we had to do it. And I think Packer fans out there who say, "Oh, I love him, and why didn't we do it?" and all this stuff. I get you, man, but we would have him for 1 more year. And then what are we gonna do? He's not gonna resign, and we're not gonna resign him. So, okay, I'd rather he goes now, and who knows? Maybe we work something out later, or maybe he goes on to have the great rest of his career, just like, Charles Woodson had with the Raiders when he went back to the Raiders. And a lot of people said, "Maybe we should have kept him." But it doesn't matter. He's a great player for us, helped us win a Super Bowl. So good for him. So, Andy, next,
Yeah, before we
talk
do
about
that, I
the
just
Rodgers
wanted
thing.
to,
Oh, go ahead.
tell everybody there was a article I read, and the headline read, it's right in front of me right now. Josh Jacobs' contract with Packers includes bizarre is what they said, bizarre clause. So typically, somebody who signs a 4-year contract, it's guaranteed for a certain amount of time. It's not like, okay, it's a 1-year contract, then another year, another year, another year, right? It's like it's almost gets reset. So they can move off of Josh
Right.
Jacobs and not incur a lot of dead cap money. And so it's a little bit bizarre. It's weird that that contract was even done in that way because typically
Mhm.
that doesn't give Josh Jacobs a lot of security. So basically he has to prove it every single year for
Yes,
the next 4 years
yes,
to get his money. So they're making him earn it. They did
yes.
give him a nice contract. They gave him a nice signing bonus. I think it was 12.5 million. This year, I think he's with incentives and this and that. It's supposed to be like 14 point whatever. So but you expect that in the first year of that contract anyway, right, John? So
Yeah.
it's kind of gives them a ton of flexibility. But the word bizarre struck me, so I really don't think
Mm,
this happens too often. Usually, that's not something you would hear, right?
no,
So
no.
yeah, so that's a good thing. Good thing for the Packers organization, and Josh hopefully will perform as well as Aaron Jones did, or even maybe even better. So hopefully better.
Yeah.
He actually outplayed him the last 5 years. If you didn't notice from the stats that John just gave you guys,
Mhm,
I mean he's averaging
mhm.
over 1,000 yards, and he's definitely, and averaging almost 10 touchdowns a year. That's not too bad considering where he came from, right? So
Absolutely.
Second thing, we got Devondre Campbell, and I wanted to take this one on purpose, John. So,
Oh, here we go.
Devondre Campbell was released by the Packers. No biggie. Uh, and based on his recent activity on social media, it appears that he's holding some animosity towards the organization that released him from a big, fat 5-year, $50 million contract. Devondre has this parting shot on Twitter/X for the Green Bay Packers. Here it comes, everybody. The worst team on how they treat players on their way out. End quote. And Devondre wrote this on his Instagram page. Someone is about to get a great football player that's been badly misused. Oh well, let's get though. Yeah, he said though,
Mhm.
not through. I was looking at it, I'm like, is that a
Uh,
typo? That's exactly what he put on his page. So it didn't make, I mean, for a second I had to like interpret what he meant,
okay.
right? So first of all,
Alright.
I read his comments verbatim. Devondre doesn't know how to use the proper words or punctuate a sentence, which as a former English teacher, that it really
Oh boy,
upsets
Mr.
me.
Godfrey.
Well, I'm sorry, you can't even put a comma in where it's like he doesn't know how to even punctuate a sentence.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
anyway, second of all, he's an ingrate. The Packers rewarded him financially for stellar production, right? He earned the contract he
Yep, yep,
got
yeah,
initially, and
absolutely,
then
yeah.
he proceeded to suck and get
Yes.
benched.
Mhm.
Yeah. In 2023, he had 73 tackles, no forced fumbles, no interceptions, no sacks, and only one pass defense. Why that's significant, everybody, is he's 6 foot 4 inches tall. You cannot tell me that he couldn't bat down a single pass the
Yeah,
whole
come on.
year. Okay, he was out in coverage, right, John? Occasionally, he would,
Yeah,
you
he
know,
was.
get sent on a blitz. I mean, seriously.
Right,
So for
yeah,
a guy who used to be an all pro, he was not a game changing player at all. And
no,
Campbell has missed a combined 10 games the past 2 seasons. The guy should be just grateful to the Packers for believing in him and giving him generational wealth. Instead, he whined on the way out about how he was misused and mistreated. Now Devondre Campbell is taking his talents, big question mark, to the Bay Area, to the Bay Area. Good luck with that, San Francisco 49ers.
yeah,
So yeah, he signed a
mhm,
1-year contract with them. So
right,
kind of a
yeah,
prove it deal. They've got some injuries in the linebacking core,
yeah,
and
agreed
they
1.
needed to get somebody in there, and that's who they chose. Probably not
Mm,
wisely, but whatever.
okay.
So John, back to you.
Yeah, so, very surprising. Packers resign running back A.J. Dillon. He returns to Green Bay in the same role as a backup now, complementing Josh Jacobs instead of Aaron Jones. The Packers' 2022 second round pick has started 11 of 60 played games. Um, yeah, it was a little surprising to me. This is another prove it deal. Um, I don't know, he's so infuriating, Andy, he just drives me crazy. I play him in Madden, okay, so I got Madden 24, I bought it cheap, and I play him in Madden on the goal line, and I sit there and I just get behind the tight end because I go in a jumbo package at the goal line, I go behind the tight end, bam, I get right through, and I'm like, "Huh." This is not what happens in real games. He'll get out there and so like you as a corner, when you see AJ Dillon coming towards you, you should immediately go, no, or just like throw your body at him and hope he trips over you. But AJ Dillon's gotta learn to be like, okay, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, I'm getting it. 3rd and 1 should be automatic. Give me a break. And goal line, we're on the 4, we're on the 3, that's automatic. But it just doesn't he just what was it? I think 5, 6 games, he really showed what he could do. He made some nice runs, but he is not a feature back. We learned that, right, Andy? He's
Yeah,
not. He's just
yeah.
not a feature back.
And he does a lot
Like
of
Aaron Jones,
rumbling,
he's done.
fumbling, stumbling, especially
Yeah,
in short yardage stuff. He's
I
continuously
just
having problems planting his feet.
yeah,
He's tripping, slipping up.
yeah.
I I don't know what's wrong with
I
him.
it's
It's like,
infuriating.
are your
It's
the
infuriating.
get him some different cleats, different link
Yeah,
spikes or something, because that should not be happening,
absolutely.
especially if you're at home and you know
Yeah,
how the field conditions are. And the other
absolutely.
thing I wanted to mention, I figured you might go into it, John. He only averaged 3.4 yards per carry last year.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
think
Come
overall
on.
for his career, I think he's just over 4 yards per carry. But once you
Mhm.
start getting in the threes, things are going downhill for you.
Correct.
So, it's not like our
Yeah.
offensive line totally sucks.
No,
It's maybe not as good with run blocking as it is with pass blocking, but it's
still,
okay. It's above maybe a little bit above average.
still, come on.
Right.
He has, get your damn pad level down and just punch a guy in the mouth and just come at him. He weighs, if not exceeds, some linebackers, middle linebackers, outside linebackers. He definitely outweighs corners and safeties that he should be having for lunch. And I just,
Yeah,
man,
his
come
legs are
on.
tree trunks. He shouldn't be getting, like,
Yeah,
I
come
don't know what
on.
the deal is.
You literally when he's in the open field, it's like when your kids were little, remember, you probably like me as a dad when when like Zach was a little kid, you would play football and you'd kind of drag him. You know what I mean? And you're doing it for fun. That's what he should be doing to people. He should be a dad among boys, but he just, oh man, I don't
Yeah,
know. We'll see.
my sons
We'll
Nolan
see.
and Zach, there's been a few times that I was there or saw it, they would face plant, right? They would be run, run,
Yeah,
run, run,
yeah,
boom, you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And,
Right, right.
it's funny. It's funny up until, they break their collarbones. So,
Yeah, well, yeah,
but yeah, it's kinda like now that I think of it, it's kinda like AJ Dillon, same thing, when he
yeah.
runs sometimes. There's nobody around him, he's
Uh-huh.
running along and he just, falls down, trips
It falls
himself up.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Yeah. All right, so the next one.
Yep. Not so surprising, my guy, the Packers re-signed cornerback slash kick returner Keyshawn Nixon. So he's back with the Pack, John, for
Nice,
multiple years,
nice,
not just for 1 year. So that's great. In
nice,
2023, Nixon earned his second straight first team All Pro selection at kick returner after leading the NFL in kickoff return yards, 782, and average. He averaged
nice.
26.1 yards. In addition, he started 13 games at nickel slash starting cornerback and recorded 79 tackles with 6 passes defensed and 1 interception. I think that happened against Mahomes actually in the Kansas City Chiefs
Yes, it did.
in Lambeau. So yeah, helped us win that game. Over 2 seasons in Green Bay, Nixon has placed himself number 2 in team history with an average of
Oh,
27.6 yards per kickoff return. John, I have no idea who's number 1. I was gonna
neither
go
do I.
I was gonna go look for that, but I was like, it may take a while to
Uh,
find it.
l
So,
let me guess, Robert Brooks. That's my
yeah,
guess.
maybe,
We'll look it
yeah.
up, we'll look it up.
I
Uh,
really don't know who would be higher than
Good sign.
27.6 yards.
How
Uh,
pitiful is that?
yeah,
How freaking
yeah,
pitiful is
hopefully it
that?
wasn't some guy that only had,
Ugh.
like, 2 kickoff returns. "Oh, he averaged it for, 29."
420, yeah,
Yeah.
right.
You only had
Great.
hopefully he had a body of work to go off of, so,
Oh,
um,
man,
I might have
yeah,
to do
right.
some research to get back to to everyone
Yeah,
next
let's get
week.
back into it. We'll
Yeah,
get back next
okay.
time.
So, but I'm really happy about that.
Okay,
Hopefully you're happy too, John.
yes,
Okay.
good signing. Good, that's a good solid signing. I love it. He's gotta learn to play better defense, but that's hard. I mean, you can't just come into a slot corner or a safety or whatever they're putting him in and be like, "Okay, cover that guy." it's it's not as easy as you think, especially when we had no Jair Alexander for what 5 games, 6 games,
Yep.
no Eric Stokes forever,
Yep.
um,
Yeah, that's
and
where
Shear,
Keyshawn stepped up along with, we're
yeah,
about to talk to about
yeah,
him. Corey
um,
Ballantyne is another one that
yeah,
took over for him.
yeah.
So you really, have to commend those players for stepping up, and they did.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah, yeah. One thing I forgot to mention with Josh Jacobs really quick, the other reason he came was because of Rich Bisaccia. If you remember, Rich Bisaccia was his head coach
Oh,
during the
yeah,
Raiders'
that's right.
last playoff
Yep, 3
playoff,
years ago.
little run they did, and he loves Rich Bisaccia. He absolutely adores him, and he's like, "Oh, that's another reason I came, so I can be with coach and, kinda work with him, on different things." So I love it. So let's get to the next one. The Packers also re-signed Wisconsin native and linebacker special teamer Christian Welch. Why is this even significant? He was one of the more consistent special teams players, recording 7 coverage tackles in 14 regular season games and 2 postseason games. His signing further proves Packers' recommitment to special teams, which I thought took a step back this year and then picked up near the end. That's still a work in progress. I would like to see good old Rich take over again because if you remember last year, he was named assistant head coach to Matt LaFleur, and he kind of gave up his special teams duties to one of his prodigies, and that's not a prodigy. And he kind of stepped back in again and had to take over that again near the end of the season where we started to improve. So yeah, I like that. It's a good story. Good for that kid. He can stay with the Packers.
Yep, and I think they're gonna use some of their 11 draft picks, John, on players maybe later in later rounds that, have some sort of special teams capability, maybe even
Yes,
played special teams in college because,
yes.
that's they lost a lot of guys, to free
Mm,
agency this year that played special teams for them.
yep.
That might have been one of the reasons they resigned Corey Dillon because I believe, sorry, AJ. I said Corey Dillon. He's played for the Bengals, I think. AJ Dillon, they got him back because I think he played a little bit of special teams as well, right? So
I think you did too.
yep.
Yeah.
So that's a possibility. I think they're starting to think of
Yeah.
that a little bit. They're trying to fill out the roster and have a complete team
Mm,
because, as we know from Kansas City Chiefs, they just aren't good on offense, defense. They're also really good at special teams.
special
That's why you
teams.
win Super
Yeah.
Bowls. So, yep,
You darn
follow
right.
that blueprint. It seems to work the last 2 seasons for them. So, uh, the Packers re-signed tackle Caleb Jones over the last 2 seasons. He has played in just 1 game on special teams.
Okay.
he just
Mm,
adds some depth to the offensive line after David Bakhtiari was released and Yash Nyman remains unsigned. So he's back with the pack.
mhm, yeah. So, next one is the Jaguars agreed to terms with safety Darnell Savage. The former first round pick, 21st overall, in 2019, never became dynamic impact player that the Green Bay Packers expected him to be. However, he did make one of the biggest plays in the NFL career by intercepting Dallas quarterback Dak Prescott and returning for 64 yards for a TD in the Packers' NFC wildcard blowout win over how about them Cowboys
How about them
in
Cowboys?
January.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah. So
That's
next,
why I
what do you
brought it
got?
up, John. I just like talking about it
Yeah,
over and over
yeah.
again, but that's what you I was trying to think what's the highlight
By
play for him this year. That was it. So,
by
uh,
the way, Cowboy fans, I don't know about next season, man. You
yep,
lost Van Der Esch retired. He retired
yep,
today. That was a big piece. You've lost some other big pieces off your offensive line and defensive line.
yep.
You and Dak Prescott had to take a hit off, his salary because they're in trouble with the salary cap.
It was
So
only
let the
like four
Cowboys have a
million, but whatever.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, but
Yep,
still. But again, if the Cowboys do not draft well this year, you Cowboy fans could be looking at like a 9-8 season or maybe worse.
yep,
So interesting.
yep.
All right. So who do we got next?
The Packers lost another safety when the Bears signed safety Jonathan Owens, Mr.
Oh,
Simone Biles. He started 11 games for your Green Bay Packers in 2023,
yeah.
his only season with the team. Owens also ranked second on the club with 10 tackles on special teams, a career high. That's another reason, John, that I'm a little bit worried about the special teams because he was good on special teams as well. On a side note, Simone needs to stop complaining about connecting flights and the time it took to travel to Green Bay. The Packers are a winning franchise, Simone, and the Bears are not. Plus, it's not like she didn't get a lot of fan support and gifts from the best fans in the
Oh,
NFL. She
mhm.
won't get that love and attention in Chicago. She won't.
No,
So,
no.
figured I'd add that one.
Especially with the king of the north gone, Justin Fields. Give me a break.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you're right.
Alright, so the Queens, let's get on to that. I don't have anything to add about Jonathan Owens. He was an okay
He's
player.
okay.
Yeah, he was yeah, he did okay. I mean, the Vikings agreed to terms with, yes, our boy, running back Aaron Jones. One day after he was released, Jones has set to count 17.6 million against the Packers salary cap. According to multiple sources, Aaron was reluctant to renegotiate and rework a team-friendly contract about 50% less. I don't blame him. So he settled for a year, $7 million deal with the Queens. After signing the Packers individual right, Aaron Jones will face his former team twice. Will he get his revenge? Come on, stop with the revenge stuff. Or will he end up like many former older Packers players who have signed with the Vikings, only to have their production diminish? Oh, Sedarius Smith.
Yep.
Whoops.
Yeah, and,
He had a pretty good year, but not to his standards.
yeah, actually, he
Uh,
was okay for them. I looked it up because I was gonna mention his name.
really?
Uh,
I don't
but he had 10
enjoy
sacks one of the years right
uh,
after they signed him
okay.
from the Packers, so that's kinda his
Okay.
thing. He doesn't really, like, cause a lot of fumbles or anything like that, but he does sack the quarterback.
Yeah, he's just
I was thinking
yeah.
more Greg Jennings, because he
Oh,
didn't do crap after they signed him.
yeah.
So that was the guy I was kinda thinking about. Even Brett Favre played it pretty well initially, for the Vikings, so
Initially,
better than
initially.
anything they
Yeah,
had at the time or,
I
before him, so, yeah.
very much. And I know he said, about his skull and blah blah blah. The thing is, don't boo Aaron Jones, Packer fans, when he comes back. Don't boo him. Be classy. He's done so much for this organization and community. Um, we'll talk about some dumb things players do to be like, "It's a business, and that's the way it goes,
Yeah,
blah, blah, blah," that Andy and I are like,
we'll talk about that
"Shut
later
up,
too.
shut up," right?
Yeah,
Just shut
just
up.
shut up.
Just you didn't want to the thing is I tell people is the same thing, I already brought this up, to Jordy Nelson, he was in his final year, he went in to renegotiate, the Packers threw him some ugly salary. It was just blech. It was horrible. And he was gonna sign it. And then the other Packer players, when he went to the locker room to tell him, they were like, "You're not signing that stupid thing. No way, dude. You go out and get your money." And he did. He went to the Raiders, 2-year, $15 million contract, signing bonus, I think, of 7 or 8. Played 1 year for them and was out of football. Um,
Yep,
because why would you want to spend any time with the Raiders? Their organization is a dumpster fire, and a dumpster fire, in my opinion. We'll see how Antonio Purse does with them, but I don't know. So
yeah,
that's
and Packer
whatever.
fans out
Aaron Jones,
there
I wish, yeah,
Packer fans out there, don't feel sorry for Aaron Jones. He still got a $7 million deal. Yes, they wanted to take a 50% pay cut or whatever it was. He still was going to
mhm,
make about the same amount of money, if not more, with the
yes,
Packers, and they could have
correct.
restructured it with more incentives. So I think it was
Mhm,
just he decided he took the pay cut last year. He wasn't going to do it
yeah,
again, and that he has
I
every
get it.
prerogative to do that. But
Every
in
right
the
to do
end,
that.
if he really wanted to be with Green Bay, he
Correct.
could have made it happen too. Because you can't tell me the Packers
Absolutely.
wouldn't have brought him back on a 1 year deal for 7 million.
No,
You can't tell me that.
absolutely.
So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I
All
know.
right,
It's
what
the
do we got
principle of it,
next?
right? The principle of it.
Yeah, yeah,
Whatever.
yeah. Everybody has their pride.
The
We get it.
Packers resigned tight end Tyler Davis, and you're probably like, who? He missed all
Who?
of last season after suffering a knee injury during the preseason. However, in 2022, Davis played 342 snaps on special teams. Again, special teams, John. That's why they brought.
Yeah.
Though that was the
Yeah,
most on
yeah,
the team in 2022, and he had a career high 10 stops. So really, I think that's why he's back is for the special teams part of it, and hopefully his knee will be recovered. I think he tore his ACL or whatever, but
yeah,
his signing gives the Packers 4 tight ends currently under contract, joining our rookie tight end trio from last season: Luke Musgrave, Tyler Kraft, and Ben Sims. Uh, Now, Green Bay will most definitely move on from Josiah DeGuara. Thank
yeah.
goodness. Uh, and so, the Packers can concentrate on the upcoming draft, on drafting, like a safety, a tight end. Actually, no, sorry, a tackle, like a left tackle, right tackle, linebacker, and maybe some beefy defensive tackles, right, in the 2024 NFL draft. So they don't have to concentrate on tight end
Mm,
anymore. They can kind of move
High
on. But
more.
if somebody drops to them, like that guy from
Mm,
Georgia, what's his name?
Georgia. Yeah, I
Yeah,
can't remember his
that
name.
guy. Yeah, he's
He's
supposed to go
oh,
like 8 or 9. He's not gonna fall to us, but say he did,
he's,
but he won't. Then I could see them
if he
maybe doing
does,
it
you
again, but
jump yeah,
yeah,
you jump that. You take that.
right.
Uh Okay. So next one is the Packers resign cornerback Corey a Ballantyne, not Valentine. So I know everybody gets confused. Valentine, whatever. He has played in 22 games with 6 starts over the past 2 seasons. All 6 starts came in 2023 due to injuries in the secondary. He recorded 7 passes defended, ranking second on the team. And his first interception, further, Ballantyne tied for fourth on Packers special teams units with 4 tackles. Now, Green Bay is less inclined to use the draft capital on a corner position. However,
Packers
Packers
Blitz.
Blitz would like to see yeah. Would like to see, safety Rudy Ford,
Rudy, Rudy.
Rudy resigned to add much needed secondary depth. Also, we do not know about Eric Stokes. The last thing I heard about Eric Stokes was supposedly they found what the issue was with his hamstring, and then nobody said anything. So I don't know if that's good. That could be career ending, career threatening. But you think somebody would have been like, oh, by now, we found the issue. This is what it is. He's having surgery. He'll be out 3 months. No, he's good as new. No one has said that. So it's a little disappointing, especially Eric Stokes, I think, is a good player, or it would have been a good player for us, but oh well, you can't have everything. So, what's the next one?
Yeah, the last Packer move that we're going to talk about, and actually, if you can believe this, everybody, we could have talked about more because there's some more that
Yes.
happened today. It didn't seem significant. There's a cornerback
Uh,
that we had. I don't even know. I couldn't even remember. I mean, I couldn't figure out who it was because I didn't even. Yeah. So anyway, he got resigned, but whatever. I don't even know his name. It's not important. But the last thing,
Rochelle,
the
his
Giants
name.
agreed to
Robert
term.
Rochelle.
What's that?
Robert Rochelle
Yeah.
is his
Yeah.
name.
Exactly. I have no.
He was a fourth round pick for the Carolina Panthers in October. We picked him off the scrap heap. Yada yada yada.
Yep.
Keep going.
The Giants agreed to terms with 3-year starter guard John Runyon. I think John Runyon Jr., right? He did not
Yep.
he did not miss a game over 4 years, 4
Mm,
total years in Green Bay. Now,
yeah.
Sean Ryan becomes the front runner to
Oh
start
boy.
at right guard in 2024.
Yeah.
Runyon and Ryan, try to say that several times, shared snaps throughout the second half of the season. So he did get some
Yeah.
playing time in last
Yeah.
year. He hadn't really played a whole lot before that. He's, I believe, a
No.
third round pick a few years ago for us. So I
Correct.
think this is
Yes.
his time. If he's gonna, yep, if he wants to be a starter, now's
That will
the time
be
for him.
that will be a need in the draft. I can tell you right now, I would like to see the Packers get a right guard or right tackle.
It's a great
Left
draft
tackle or
for tackles, actually, and offensive linemen
yeah,
in general. So yeah. At some point, you got to draft some offensive linemen again. They didn't draft a single one last year. So,
nope.
yep,
And again, Andy and me and with Packers Blitz, we'll be back in April to do a draft special before the draft. And then hopefully Andy or myself will come over to each other's house again because that was fun last time when we were going to
yep,
the draft.
definitely.
And it was a good time. So let's get to around the NFL. Let's get through these signings fairly quickly. Um,
A
really, in my
flurry of activity,
opinion,
John.
a flurry of activity. In my opinion, there was a lot of okay,
Yeah.
all right. And the first one is our mighty Minnesota Vikings. Oh, Vikings fans. You lose your Kirk Cousins to Atlanta
Yep.
Falcons, all right. Then you lose Dobbs today. He went to
San
San Francisco,
Francisco.
he just signed with San
Yep.
Francisco. He's gone. You have some rookie who the Packers ripped a new one in the last near the last, game of the season, who doesn't look like he even is even ready to play in the NFL,
Yeah.
and now you bring in retread Sam Darnold, who, by the way, will have, in my opinion, he backed up Brock Purdy for crying out loud. And when Sam Darnold plays, he played at USC. I remember him at USC, and I was like, "Hey, I don't know. I don't see anything in him." And all the scouts were like, "Oh, he's gonna be great." And I don't know what his stats are, but they probably suck. He's a good quarterback. He's gonna have Aaron Jones, which is nice. And he's gonna have Justin Jefferson, which is
Yep.
nice.
Addison.
Um,
Addison.
yes, and Addison, and I'm sure the Vikings will pick up because they made some goofy draft
Yep.
thing with the Texans, so they're definitely gonna get another quarterback. There's no
Yeah, they're going to be
way in
moving up in the
hell,
draft. Yeah.
yeah, no way in hell you're gonna have Sam Darnold as your quarterback throughout this
Yeah, but
entire
he has some
season.
playmakers.
Uh,
He also has Hawkinson,
yeah,
but
he's
Hawkinson
fine.
really injured his leg last year.
Yeah,
So hopefully he'll come
I'm
back
not
for him.
scared of Sam. But who knows? He might be another Jared Goff, and now he's put in this position and flourish. You never know, Packer fans, so I still think he sucks,
Yeah.
but I thought Taylor was
He's
awesome.
been in the
So,
league, John,
what do I
6 years, I believe. I'm sorry, he was drafted, I think, number 2 or number 3 or whatever in the
number
draft
2
by
or
the
number 3?
Jets, yeah.
Correct, correct.
So, I mean, he's
Yeah,
had plenty of opportunities, and
he's
he
had plenty
hasn't
of
been
time.
able to either he hasn't been able to, be the starter for the entire season or,
Yep,
any opportunities that
he's
he's
hopping
had, he
around.
just hasn't made the most of them. So he was never
He's
able to
just hopping.
supplant the quarterback ahead of him. Last year
No.
it was, Brock Purdy. Yeah, so he
Yeah,
wasn't
well,
able
yeah,
to, you know
yeah.
yeah, he's a backup.
So let's get to the really interesting one.
Yeah,
This one
very
forward
interesting. Justin Fields is now with the Pittsburgh
king
Steelers.
of the north.
He was traded for a 6th round pick that could elevate to a 4th rounder based on the amount of starts, yada yada. It maybe performance. I don't know. There's some incentives in there. Basically, if he meets those, incentives, whatever it is, then they'll get a better pick. So, reportedly, the Bears received multiple trade offers, multiple,
Really?
supposedly. However,
Well,
they chose to send him to a team where Justin could succeed and where Justin wanted to go. In fact, the Bears took less for Fields again to benefit the player, not necessarily the team. So now there are two new potential starters in Pittsburgh: Fields and Wilson. Wilson, I was going to say
let him
Rumpelstiltskin.
cook.
Yeah. So, oh, by the way, I thought Fields, personally, I felt he was a better fit with the Eagles in Philadelphia.
So did I. So did
By
I.
the end of the week, the Steelers totally redid their quarterback room. Backup quarterback Mason Rudolph signed with the Texans. So as of they don't have, I don't think they had any quarterbacks that they had from the previous
No,
season anymore.
no,
And
no.
now they've got not only Russell Wilson, they've got Justin Fields now. So
Fields, yeah, and they'll pick up a quarterback in the
I mean, I
draft. They have
respect
to.
the Bears for what they did because they're trying to put them in a
I
good
do.
position to succeed.
I do.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
but to be quite honest, if they want to start winning again, sometimes they just have to do what they have to do for you know, the
Cut it.
betterment of the franchise, right?
Yeah, cut it. Yep, I got you.
And stunningly, the Steelers traded former first rounder Kenny Pickett to the Eagles after
That
only
makes
2
no sense.
seasons. Yes, it doesn't.
That doesn't make any
Yep.
sense.
Pickett wasn't happy
Okay.
that he got benched at the end of the season and refused to even be a backup. I don't know if you heard about that. I think
Oh,
that was
there you
week
go.
17.
Yeah, there you go.
Uh,
Okay. All right.
Pittsburgh chose to start Mason Rudolph over Pickett during the
Oh,
playoffs. He
God.
also supposedly was pissed that the team traded for Russell Wilson. So now
Okay.
he's with Philadelphia. And John, Philadelphia gave up more for Pickett than the
Justin
Bears
Fields.
before
Yeah.
than Pittsburgh got from the Bears for Justin Fields. So
Doesn't make sense.
yeah, I think Fields is probably a better talent, and
Absolutely.
I don't know, but,
Yeah.
I wanna say off the top of my head, I didn't write it down, I don't think it's really significant, but it was like, I think they gave up, like, the 38th pick and then 2 other picks for him.
Mhm,
So I didn't
mhm.
get that. Usually,
No, I don't get that either.
the general manager there does a really good job with the Eagles,
Mhm.
and I don't know,
Yeah.
it didn't make any sense to me.
Eagles are anyway. Alright. So, beep, beep, boop, beep, 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 boop. This just in. Left tackle Tyrone Smith signed with the New York Jets today. Smith is 33 years old, but he has missed 37 games in 4 seasons in Dallas. Yes, he is a future Hall of Famer. And now Aaron Rodgers has a new left tackle to protect his backside. Uh, and David Bakhtiari is almost assured to not restart his career with the Jets. Yeah, I don't see that happening, but you never know. Maybe Rodgers will wave his magic wand and to get him in there. He said today that he tends to play again and sign somewhere in free agency.
Yep.
Bakhtiari, if you go to the frickin' Vikings, I'm gonna jump on your back and punch you. Go to a winning organization. Go to the Chiefs. Go to Philadelphia. That Kelsey's gone in Philadelphia now. Go over there. Go to a winning organization. You deserve a Super Bowl, damn it. Um, but who knows? Maybe he winds up with the Bears. Great. Just great.
Or the Vikings. The
Uh,
Vikings like all of our older players, right?
I know,
They're
like I
not
said,
they already have a good
no,
left
no,
tackle,
no, no,
so,
no, 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 no,
yeah.
no, no, he's not going to the
No, he's not.
Vikings.
No.
Come on,
Nope.
Bakhtiari.
And we're gonna move on to our next
Alright.
section, John, and get this baby
Yeah.
going. So,
Yeah.
um, WTH, we'll just call it that. What the heck, Aaron Rodgers, with
Oh,
multiple
boy.
exclamation points. Now, John, I was gonna use WTF, but this is a family program. So I
Yeah.
did what the heck instead. But I want to do WTF. I changed it last minute. So, first one, WTH, Aaron, what the heck? In January, Aaron said during his end of the year press conference that the Jets need to focus on football and stay away from distractions to be successful and win. John, Packers fans, football fans, Aaron said that in his press conference. That's
Yes, he
yeah,
did.
that's really perplexing. Well, now there are reports that Aaron Charles Rodgers is on a short list, in quotes, to become an independent presidential candidate's VP, his vice president. The New York Times reported Tuesday that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. approached both Rodgers and former WWE wrestler Jesse Ventura, an ex governor of Minnesota, about appearing on his ticket. If anybody remembers, Jesse the Body Ventura was also an actor and had some all time tough guy lines in the movie Predator starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. And here's some of his famous lines. I just had to say them, John. These are I'm ranked them number. This is the number one.
Oh,
If it
boy.
bleeds, we can kill it. What the hell are we supposed to use? Harsh language? And the most famous quote of all, it has to be, I ain't got time to bleed. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Social media post at Packer underscore pundit posted this prediction. This is in quotes. Jets fans gonna be mad when Rodgers doesn't play in 2024 so he can be Robert Kennedy's running mate. End quote. Uh, John, on that was a while ago. That was like last year, right? So on March 13th, actually, I think that's what it is. Yep. Kyle
Yeah.
Fellows, he's the name of the guy who posted this. My wife has requested that next time I use my powers on something useful. End quote. I wonder if John's wife Debbie feels the same way about John's soothsayer abilities. So, John, this guy
Mhm.
predicted it uh, way ahead of time, way ahead of time,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so he predicted that this was going to happen. So, a year
Unbelievable.
ahead of time. So,
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So, okay. Oh, WTH, Aaron. Like, WTH, what the hell, Aaron? Understandably, DailyMail.com reported the Jets are upset with Rodgers and say it is ridiculous to think he could be campaigning and playing football at the same time. The source said lots of Jets coaches and players want Aaron to commit to the team and worry about winning the Super Bowl over the chance to be in the White House. End quote. Okay, next.
exactly.
Oh, man. I give up. Next.
So, what the heck, Aaron? Just like when he was with the Packers, Aaron Rodgers is a distraction for the Jets. Both teams have been
Mm,
forced to accept and take on his controversial beliefs and comments, anti establishment beliefs, distrust of vaccine mandates, conspiracy theories, obscure treatments, etc. Does Aaron do this to further his future political career, pave the way for his own podcast, and stroke his own ego? Until he is retired, no one wants to listen and validate all of his bullshit remarks. I just had to say bullshit.
Amen, brother. Amen, brother. Of course, when the news broke, will he or won't Aaron Rodgers join the presidential ticket? He was on a ayahuasca trip, of course he was, to Costa Rica. Aaron didn't realize that the news broke. Uh, what the hell, Aaron? What the? Beep, 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 beep. This is breaking news. Rodgers will not be Robert Kennedy's junior running mate for the 2024 presidential run. No surprise there. Aaron got enough attention for the week. What happens next? What about Aaron Rodgers drama? Will NFL fans be subjected to?
What's next?
Come
Well, John, Packers
on.
Blitz
There we
fans,
go.
NFL fans, Aaron Rodgers has now proclaimed that he would like to play another 4 years. Remember when he went to the Jets? He had
Oh,
stated that he would like to play another 2 years. So here we go again with more foolishness coming out of Aaron Rodgers' mouth.
I
So
stop it.
yeah, it's kind of
Stop it.
it's kind of incredible, John. I had a whole section just on that.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I know.
the
Right. I know.
foolishness and the me type stuff where he's just trying to get attention.
Yeah. I just don't get it.
Can you just
Okay.
stop?
I just stop it, Aaron.
We
Stop
talk
it.
about football and not
Packers
all the other
blitz.
stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Come on, buddy. Let's go play football again. I want to see you play football. Win or lose, I don't care, man. Just go out there and play football for crying out loud. Okay, let's get into some very important NFL news. Andy, take it away with a very important news. NFL news.
Sounds great. Los Angeles Rams defensive tackle Aaron Donald retired from the NFL after 10
Thank
seasons.
God.
This is a massive, massive blow to the Rams' Super Bowl hopes.
Yes.
The team now has to somehow replace the former three-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year. He's tied with
Not gonna
three,
happen.
with J.J. Watt and Lawrence Taylor for the most ever. His leadership, his production, his game-wrecking ability cannot be denied. Aaron Donald was never, never not double teamed. In fact, I remember watching him being triple teamed on
Triple
several
team. Sure.
occasions. Yeah.
Mhm.
Football fans, what other defensive linemen can you remember that happening to? I know there's Reggie
Ah,
White, Lawrence
Reggie
Taylor, Bruce
White.
Smith, Michael Strahan, but some
Yeah, yeah.
pundits, Colin Cowherd, feel that Aaron
Uh,
Donald may be the best defensive player ever.
what? Of course.
Yeah,
Of
best
course.
ever to
Such a
play the
dork.
game. Right.
No.
And a
Nope.
very interesting insider information about the timing of Aaron Donald's retirement from the NFL, right?
Mm.
Well, supposedly, Aaron told head coach Sean McVay after the playoff loss to Detroit Lions in January of his intention to retire. So the Rams already knew about it, John.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, I already
yeah,
know that, yeah. Not surprising,
right.
not surprising. Um, you can and maybe we would Andy and I would do this, but, Packer Blitz fans, Packer fans, just football fans. Reggie White, Aaron Donald. Go look at the tape. I think Reggie White in his prime was better. However, Aaron Donald is not far behind. I mean, he did some things that were Reggie White like.
Yeah,
Um, he was an incredible player.
yeah.
I wish him all the best. Please don't be an announcer, Aaron Donald. I know you want to be an announcer. Do not be an announcer. Just go and like, I don't know, work out or something. Coach a high school football team or something, but don't be an announcer. I just don't think he'd be any good at it.
So,
Uh,
John, you got
but
the
anyways,
next part.
yes.
Some of this you already talked about.
Yeah, so
So,
one of the
it
things
won't be
I
too much beep,
saw
beep, 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 beep. It won't be like breaking news or anything if
so
you just said it. But go ahead.
right. So they get yeah, the Dallas Cowboys released wide receiver Michael Gallup and Leighton Vander Esch. Always sounded like some guy like, was gonna show up at some swanky party. "Hello, I'm Leighton Vander Esch," and I'm like, "You play football, really?" Vander Esch is retired from the NFL after 6 seasons. He was a 19 overall pick in 2018. Huh.
Yeah.
Proved to be the first season, yes, he had a couple good seasons. Injuries, yeah, he, however, interrupted his ascension to football greatness and ultimately ended his career. Yeah, that poor guy. I remember when his first couple years, he was like, "Damn, maybe we should have drafted him. Packers should have drafted him." But yeah, good luck. I wish you all the best. Hope you have a great retirement and take care of
Yeah, it
yourself.
was kinda strange because he got released and then he retired after that, so they probably
Yeah,
didn't even need to
yeah,
do that. They probably just he coulda just retired, right? But, yeah.
yeah.
So, now
All right.
me. Okay, perennial All-Pro wide receiver Keenan Allen was traded to the Chicago Bears for a 4th round pick.
All right.
Yeah, he's a really good player for a 4th round pick. So,
He is for a fourth round pick.
yep, he's
Okay.
coming toward the end of his career, though. So,
Yeah, he's at the end of it.
n now number 1 overall, pick coming this year, quarterback Caleb Williams of the USC Trojans has the wide receiver tandem of DJ Moore and Keenan Allen to throw the football to.
Not bad.
Now the Packers will definitely have to draft or sign some more secondary
They
help,
will.
right, John?
They will.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And lastly, running back Derrick Henry. By the way, Packer fans, this is a perfect landing spot for him. Has signed with the Baltimore Ravens to solidify their backfield. During the last decade, Henry has been one of the most productive running backs in the NFL. He gives the 2023 NFL MVP Lamar Jackson another weapon on offense. This is the perfect landing spot for him. He would not work in Green Bay. I've said that a million times. The Josh Jacobs thing is brilliant if it works out, because that's the kind of back we need. Running back, Derrick Henry would have been a nice pickup, but yeah, I don't think he fixed our offense. So, a lot of stuff there, but let's get into the conclusion here. Andy, why don't you start out?
When it comes to the topics of NFL free agency and players' comments after being released, I hate hearing the same recycled lines from players, especially ones who have played for the Green Bay Packers. Lines like, bottom line, in the end, the NFL is just a business.
Just the business.
They didn't want me.
Okay.
Almost makes me want to cry, right? They didn't want me.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
whine
yeah.
a lot. Yeah. I was treated unfairly.
Come on.
They will regret getting rid of me.
Mhm.
Somebody is about to get a great football player. And we know
You
who
sucked for
and
them.
we know who said that. They didn't
Yeah.
use me in the right way.
Oh,
Yeah,
boy.
he said that too. I guess I shouldn't have played hurt. Yeah,
Oh, boy.
Devondre said that as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's the last time I do that.
Okay.
He's paid to play, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Whatever. uh,
Uh-huh.
this time of year in the NFL is very interesting. However, NFL players need to have a large slice of humble pie. Plus, they need to have more intelligent comments on social media. Don't send the tweet or post online until you have your words spell checked and the punctuation correct. Intelligent people do that. In the end, some of them, like Devondre Campbell, just sound petty, silly,
Mm,
and
mhm, mhm.
unintelligent. now on now on the brighter side, a brighter note. Say cheese.
Cheese.
This is what our fantastic new safety, Xavier McKinney, said on social media about joining his new team, the Green Bay Packers. It's enlightening to have a football player who truly knows his audience and loves cheese. No wonder he may be running the defense for Jeff Halfley in 2024. He's smart.
Yeah. Awesome, buddy.
That's also that's
Awesome.
also
I
that's also a rip on Devondre Campbell because I think Devondre, ran the defense at one time, didn't he?
don't
Okay.
get Devontae Campbell mad.
Yeah, whatever.
You don't want him to come beat us up. Um,
He can do it too, both of us at the same time.
one other quick one other quick note. Xavier McKinney and Josh Jacobs were former Alabama Tide, Roll Tide teammates.
Oh, yeah.
So they
That
are
connection.
excited. The last time they played together is, I think, in the national championship team, either with Tua or God dang it, the quarterback of the Eagles. Why am I drawing a blank on him? Jalen
Hurts?
Hurts.
Yeah.
Thank you. But yes, they are former Alabama Tide uh, teammates,
Yep,
and
and
I thought that
Tua.
was really interesting.
Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah, yeah. So they remember their time in Alabama, and they were like, "Huh, that's really weird. We're back together again on the same team. That's cool."
Yeah,
So really interesting, very interesting. So Andy, woo, that was a lot of stuff.
it was.
What we so thanks again for doing all the research. You great job. I love it. People, we have some cool things coming up. We're going to take a little bit of a break because really it's March Madness and everybody's in the March Madness, and Andy and I will probably pick out some things, maybe hopefully win some money. Um March Madness.
Just like
Probably
we
not.
shoulda did
All my
during the Super Bowl, our Super
Yeah,
Bowl
yeah,
pick.
yeah, right?
Right.
Right. Usually my team's always lose in the first round, and I have to redo my brackets, and it's annoying. Anyway, we're gonna be working on our draft special, pre-draft to go through who the Packers need, and then maybe Andy and I will do some other teams if we decide we wanna do that. Maybe we will do like last time we did, I believe, the top 10 or top 15, and then focus on the Packers. It's gonna be interesting what the Packers need, and what they're going to do. There's a lot of good tackles out there, like Andy said. There's some safeties out there. There's a lot of mock drafts out there. Please look at them. Andy and I will be back with that, or if back a little before if there's some big news happening. The other thing too is to remember that again, rate us 5 stars. Andy and I are always doing our best. Please like and subscribe and check us out and wherever you listen to, whether it be Spotify, Apple, YouTube. And then we're gonna have some other, like I said, things coming up for the year. I think Andy, I think you like me on paper, I like what I see. It doesn't always equate to where we want to be, but right now, I think if we get some missing pieces in there, this I'm super excited about the defense coming up. Hopefully, they got to be better than Joe Barry. Uh, and we'll see what happens. So again, we love you guys and continue listening to the show. Ask Andy. Come on, let's hear some questions out there. PackersBlitz80 at gmail.com. So, Andy, anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I think the draft's gonna be really interesting, really interesting. Our first round pick, I think, is 25th, John. Just to let
Correct.
everybody know, we didn't uh, Minnesota moved up uh, to
Yeah.
the 23rd pick. They already have a pick earlier than that, but they also picked up another
Mm,
pick, the 23rd selection from the Houston Texans.
okay.
So again,
Nice.
it's going to be interesting if they package it together, get a new quarterback. They really need one.
Yeah.
That
They need one.
Yeah, and then I did want to say, rest in peace, Pete, and also hopefully
Yes.
he's listening to us from
Yes.
up above where he deserves to be, right?
Yes. Yes.
So hopefully he's listening to
Absolutely.
Packers Blitz.
Yeah, you betcha. So, again, Andy, thanks again, buddy. It was another great show. And go, Pack, go.
Go Pack, go!
All right. Love you, buddy. Talk later.